What's the smallest, it's not a big deal moment that completely changed how you saw your relationship? Hey, before we start, I need you to do something. Don't decide who the villain is yet, because this story will try to trick you. At first, it sounds small. A rainy night, a missed ride, one word, dramatic. But this isn't about rain. This is about what happens when someone slowly rewrites your emotions as evidence against you. This is about the quiet kind of control, the kind that smiles in public, sends flowers to your office, and still makes you question whether asking for help is manipulation. As you listen, pay attention to the language, the jokes that don't feel like jokes, the calm that feels rehearsed, the way family members casually take sides without you realizing it. Because this story isn't loud chaos. It's strategic. It's subtle. It's the kind of dynamic that makes you ask yourself, is this love? Or is this someone building a case against me while telling everyone I'm just emotional? And here's the twist. By the end, you might think you know exactly what's happening, and then something small will shift. So don't get comfortable. Don't pick a side too early. And most importantly, listen for the moment where confusion turns into clarity. Because when it hits, it doesn't build slowly. It lands like a slap. Let's begin. I'm 28F. He's 31 Yan. We've been together almost 3 years, which apparently is long enough to start gaslighting yourself preemptively. I never thought I'd post here. I'm the I journal privately and handle my business type. But yesterday something cracked and it wasn't loud. It was quiet, which is worse. It started with rain. My bus got cancelled after work because of flooding, and I texted Daniel, hey, can you pick me up? It's pouring and the app says 40+ min delay. He responded 12 minutes later, I'm exhausted. I just sat down. Can you Uber? I could. I didn't want to spend 35 bawas on a ride for a 15-minute drive when he was literally home. I said that. He replied with a thumbs up emoji. A literal, I walked home. Almost an hour. Shoes squelching. Mascara migrating. The kind of rain that soaks through your bra and makes you feel like a damp ghost. When I got home, he was on the couch, headset on, laughing with his friends. I stood there dripping on the hardwood like a cautionary tale. He looked at me for maybe 2 seconds and said, you should have checked the schedule earlier. That was it. No. Oh my God, you're soaked. No towel. Nothing. I went into the bathroom and just stared at myself, water pooling at my feet, and I started crying. Not loud. Just this weird silent leak. Because it wasn't about the rain. It was about every birthday I've planned for him. Every panic attack I've talked him through at 2 a.m. while he hyperventilated about work. Every dinner I've cooked because he's too drained. The fact that I remember his parents' anniversary and send flowers on his behalf because you're just better at that stuff. I am the stuff. Later that night he noticed I was quiet. Like you noticed the TV got muted. Are you still upset? He asked. I said, I just needed you. And he laughed. Not cruel. Just dismissive. You're being dramatic. That word. Dramatic. It landed like a slap wrapped in velvet. I slept facing the wall. And here's the thing that's messing with me. This isn't new. It's just sharper now. Like I've been editing out his behavior in my head for years. My best friend Leah texted me in our group chat. It's called Feral Wives Club, even though only one of us is married. Leah. Did he at least apologize? Me. Lol, no. Sarah. You. Leah. Girl. I defended him. Reflexively. He's stressed. It was last minute. I didn't communicate well. Why am I defending someone who watched me drip on the floor? But here's where it gets weird. Last month at his sister's engagement dinner, his mom pulled me aside and said, we're so lucky you take care of him. He's never been good at thinking of others. She said it like a compliment. And Daniel just smiled. I remember standing there with a glass of wine thinking, wait, thinking of others, is that optional? And then there's the small stuff that keeps circling back in my brain like a vulture. He forgets things I tell him. Important things. Like my presentation at work. But he remembers every update about his gaming league. He calls me sensitive when I cry. Intense when I ask for reassurance. Moody when I'm quiet. Is it gaslighting if he genuinely believes I'm too much, or am I actually too much? There's this note he left on the fridge last week that I can't stop thinking about. It said, don't forget to pick up my dry cleaning. Not ours. His. And I did. Why did I do that? I feel like I'm waking up from something, but I can't tell if it's clarity or paranoia. Because here's the part I haven't told anyone. Sometimes when I'm upset, he gets calm. Like eerily calm. Like he's studying me. Like he's waiting for me to exhaust myself so he can declare the argument over. And he always does. I keep replaying last night in my head, and something about it feels off. Not just selfish. Strategic. Like he needed me to walk home in the rain to prove something. But what? Am I spiraling? Probably. But also, he didn't forget. He chose not to come. And I can't unsee that. Okay, so I told myself I was overreacting. I went to work the next day, did my stupid little tasks, smiled in meetings like a functional adult woman who was definitely not unraveling internally, and then Leah sent me a screenshot. It was from Daniel's gaming group chat. How she got it is a whole other weird subplot because apparently her cousin is dating one of his friends. Small world. Love that for me. But there it was. Daniel. She's mad because I didn't pick her up, lol. Friend. Bro, it was raining bad. Daniel. She loves being the victim. Daniel. I can't keep rewarding that behavior. Rewarding. Behavior. I stared at those words until my vision blurred. Rewarding. Like I'm a dog. Behavior. like I'm misbehaving. I felt heat crawl up my neck. Not crying this time. Something uglier. I confronted him that night. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just showed him the screenshot. He went very still. Then he smirked. Why are you spying on me? Not, I'm sorry. Not, that was messed up. Why are you spying on me? I said. You called me a victim. He shrugged. You are. You always frame things like, I'm the bad guy. I genuinely couldn't process that. Like my brain stalled. You let me walk home in a storm. You're an adult. I needed help. So ask without guilt tripping. Guilt tripping. I swear to God, it felt like we were in two different realities. Then he did this thing he always does. He softened his voice, came closer, touched my waist. I love that you care so much, he said. But sometimes you make small things huge. And for a split second, I doubted myself again. Maybe I am magnifying things. Maybe healthy couples don't implode over rain. But then he added casually, you know my mom thinks you get emotional over nothing. That felt deliberate. I said, why would you even tell me that? I'm just being honest. Honest. Is it honesty if it's designed to make me smaller? That weekend we had his friend Marco's birthday dinner. I almost didn't go. I felt raw, but Daniel insisted. Don't be weird, he said. I don't want people asking questions. Don't be weird. At dinner, he was charming, attentive, poured me wine, put his hand on my thigh under the table like we were that couple. I started thinking maybe I imagined the cruelty, until Marco's girlfriend, Elise, leaned over and whispered, you're so patient with him. I don't know how you do it. Patient. Why is that the word everyone uses? Later that night, after a few drinks, Daniel stood up to give a toast. It was supposed to be about Marco. Instead, he said, cheers to women who keep us sane, especially the dramatic ones. People laughed. My stomach dropped. He looked at me when he said it, like it was an inside joke. I smiled. Because what else do you do when your humiliation is packaged as humor? On the drive home, I said, why did you call me dramatic in front of everyone? He rolled his eyes. It was a joke. It didn't feel like one. That's because you're sensitive. There it is again. Sensitive. Dramatic. Victim. It's like he's building a case file on me, and here's the part that's making me question my sanity. The next morning, he brought me coffee in bed, kissed my forehead. I hate when we fight, he said. You know I adore you. Adore. He sent me flowers to my office that day. Lilies. My favorite. The card said, to the strongest woman I know. Sorry if I don't always show it. My coworkers swooned. I felt nauseous. Because if he knows I'm strong, why does he keep framing me as unstable? That night his mom called. I was in the kitchen. He put her on speaker without telling me. Is she feeling better? She asked. Better. Like I had the flu. Daniel laughed lightly. She's just emotional sometimes. I froze. Well, his mom said, you have to be firm. She'll respect you more. Firm. Respect. I stood there holding a knife over a cutting board and felt like I was eavesdropping on a meeting about how to manage me. When he hung up, I said, why do you let her talk about me like that? He looked annoyed. You're making it a thing again. A thing. I'm a thing. The pattern is starting to look less accidental. But here's the twist that's really messing with me. Last night I found a note in his desk, not hidden, just tucked under some papers. It was a list. Things to work on. Don't engage when she escalates. Stay calm. Don't reward tears. Reinforce boundaries. I don't know if it was therapy homework, or advice from someone, or his own thoughts, but reading "Don't reward tears" in his handwriting did something to me. I don't cry to manipulate. I cry because I'm hurt. Unless he genuinely believes I'm manipulating him. And if he believes that, then what am I actually living in? I didn't sleep after finding the list. I just lay there next to him, staring at the ceiling, replaying every argument we've ever had like a detective who suddenly realized the suspect has been sitting beside her the whole time. Don't reward tears. I kept seeing it in his handwriting. My tears are currency to him, something you either validate or withhold. That morning, I did something I've never done before. I went through his laptop. I know. If you're already typing invasion of privacy, spare me. My nervous system has been invaded for 3 years. His password wasn't hard. It was our anniversary. Irony is cute like that. I didn't have to dig much. There was a folder on his desktop called Notes. Inside it was a document titled Communication Strategy. Strategy. Like we're in a war. I opened it. It wasn't long. Just bullet points. When she gets emotional, don't mirror it. Validate once, then disengage. Don't let her frame you as the bad guy. If she cries, wait it out. Don't give in to guilt tactics. Guilt tactics. I physically felt something leave my body, like my soul clocked out for a minute. There were timestamps on the file. He'd edited it multiple times over the past year. This wasn't a one-off frustration note. This was a manual. And then there were screenshots of our texts, highlighted, with comments in the margins. She's escalating here. Notice how she shifts blame. Don't respond emotionally. Who was he annotating this for? Himself? A therapist? Someone else? My heart was pounding so loud I thought he'd wake up. I scrolled further. There was an email draft. Unsent. Addressed to his mom. Subject. Need advice. I'm trying to handle her moods better. She tends to catastrophize small things, and I don't want to reinforce that. How do I stay supportive without encouraging dependency? Dependency. I pay half the rent. I make more than him some months. I cook, clean, schedule appointments. Dependent on what, exactly? Oxygen. I closed the laptop. My hands were shaking. And then the worst part happened. I almost convinced myself it was reasonable. I thought, maybe he's trying to improve. Maybe this is growth. Maybe he's learning how to deal with conflict better. I almost made it noble, but then, flashback. His toast at Marco's dinner. Especially the dramatic ones. His mom saying, be firm. The gaming chat. Don't reward that behavior. It's all the same language. It's not therapy language. It's management language. I confronted him that evening. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I said, I read your document. His face went blank. Then irritated. You went through my laptop? You've been strategizing how to handle me. Because you're unpredictable. That word hit harder than dramatic. Unpredictable, I said. I asked for basic support. You spiral over nothing. Walking in the rain for an hour isn't nothing. You're stuck on that because it fits your narrative. My narrative. I felt like I was in a courtroom where he was both lawyer and judge. Why are you documenting our fights? I asked. So, I don't lose my mind, he snapped. Do you know what it's like dealing with someone who turns every inconvenience into an existential crisis? Existential crisis. I thought about the night he sobbed in my lap because his boss criticized a spreadsheet. I didn't call that dramatic. I held him. I don't turn everything into a crisis, I said quietly. He laughed. Actually laughed. You're doing it right now. And that's when something shifted. Because for the first time, I didn't feel confused. I felt clear. Not calm. Clear. So when I'm hurt, I said, your goal is to outlast me. My goal, he said coldly, is not to enable dysfunction. Dysfunction. I stared at him. This man who forgets to pick up milk, who leaves dishes in the sink, who has panic attacks over emails, and I'm the dysfunction. I asked him one last thing. Do you even like me? He hesitated. Not long, but long enough. I love you, he said. That wasn't the question. Later that night, his sister texted me out of nowhere. Hey, is everything okay? Daniel said you've been really overwhelmed lately. Overwhelmed. So now I'm a project update in the family group chat. I typed and deleted 3 different responses. Instead, I wrote, I'm fine. Because suddenly I realized something terrifying. Everyone thinks I'm the unstable one, and he's been carefully curating that image. I'm not crazy. I'm being positioned. And I don't know how long this has been happening. I didn't explode. That's what he expected. Tears. Yelling. Some big emotional crescendo he could calmly endure and then reference later as proof that I'm unstable. Instead, I went quiet. Not the wounded quiet he's used to. The kind where something inside you locks into place. I started paying attention. Not reacting. Not explaining. Just observing. The next morning he asked if I was feeling more balanced. Balanced. I said, I'm good. He looked relieved. Which is wild, because nothing was resolved. But my silence read as improvement to him. That was the first clue. A few days later, I tested something. I got a flat tire after work. I texted him. Tire's blown. I'm safe but stuck. No emojis. No dramatics. Just information. He replied 9 minutes later. What's the plan? Not, are you okay? Not, where are you? What's the plan? I wrote, figuring it out. He sent, let me know if you need something. I stared at that sentence. Let me know if you need something. I had told him I was stuck on the side of the road. What exactly does he think that implies? I called roadside assistance, waited alone, fixed it myself. When I got home, he was mid-game again. All good? He asked casually. I said, yeah. And that's when it hit me. He doesn't step in unless I collapse. And when I collapse, he frames it as instability. It's a loop, with him as the stable one in the center, and then the universe handed me something I didn't even ask for. Last weekend, we were at his parents' house for Sunday dinner. His mom made a comment about how relationships require leadership. She looked directly at him when she said it. I said nothing, but his dad, who rarely speaks, laughed and said, well, Daniel's never been great at responsibility. Thank God she handles everything. The room went quiet. His mom shot him a look. Daniel stiffened, and for the first time in 3 years, I saw it. Not control, not strategy, fear. He needs me to be the emotional one, because if I'm the problem, he never has to be accountable. If I'm dramatic, he's reasonable. If I'm unstable, he's strong. If I'm too much, he's just enough. And then something else clicked. The document. The annotations. The language. It wasn't written like someone confident. It was written like someone rehearsing. Someone trying to convince himself he's not the villain. That night, I did one last thing. I printed the document. The communication strategy. I highlighted every line where he reframed my pain as manipulation. I left it on the kitchen table, and I packed a bag. Not dramatically. No slamming drawers, just folded clothes. Essentials. My laptop. When he came out of the shower and saw the papers, he froze. What is this? I said. Your strategy. You had no right to turn me into a case study. He looked angry, then scared, then soft. Don't do this, he said. You're overreacting. There it is. Overreacting. For the first time, I didn't defend myself. I didn't argue. I didn't cry. I just said, I'm done auditioning for sanity. He followed me to the door. Where are you going? And I realized something almost funny. For 3 years, he's been asking what the plan is. Now, he doesn't have one. I opened the door. It was raining again. Of course it was. He said, "You're proving my point right now." And I almost laughed. Because walking away quietly isn't instability, it's clarity. I stepped into the rain, not soaked, not stranded, not waiting for him to rescue me, just walking. And here's the part that still makes my chest tight. He hasn't texted. Not to ask where I am, not to ask if I'm safe. Nothing. Which means one of two things. Either he's confident I'll come back, or he never needed me the way I needed him. And somehow, that hurts more than the rain ever did.